You're listening to The World at 8 with Lynn Mozart. The World at 8, the number one in nationalist news.
Highlights of the news today, Wednesday, the 20th of November 2013. Lee Rigby Woolwich murder trial postponed until Thursday. Freddie Starr sues Jimmy Savile, victim, for £300,000. Bolton Council apologises after pork product is served to a Muslim youngsters in school dessert. Lord Carey warns Christianity a generation away from extinction in Britain. Queen hires Muslim as High Sheriff. Albania giant cross angers Muslims. German footballer turned Islamist killed in Syria. Turkey, Deputy PM hopes to convert Hagia Sophia to Mosque. Airbus and Boeing cash in at Dubai Airshow. Fukushima Fiasco, TEPCO's risky removal of radioactive fuel could set off uncontrolled chain reaction. Australia, Indigenous ethnic groups unite against law changes. Thought for the day, a most unfair situation. And finally, a new breadwinner in the family. UK News. Lee Rigby Woolwich murder trial postponed until Thursday. The trial of two men accused of murdering Fusilier Lee Rigby in Woolwich has been postponed, the Old Bailey has heard. The trial was due to start Monday the 18th, but will now start on Thursday, November the 21st. Michael Adebelejo, aged 28, and Michael Adebowale, aged 22, are charged with murdering the Fusilier as he walked back to Woolwich Barracks on May the 22nd. They are also each accused of attempting to murder a police officer on the same day and conspiracy to murder a police officer on or before that day. Father of one, Fusilier Rigby 25 from Middleton, Great Manchester, died of multiple cuts and stab wounds when he was attacked as he returned to the barracks after spending the day at the Tower of London. Adebelejo from Romford in Essex has asked to be known as a Mujahid Abu Hamza in court, whilst Adebowale of Thames Street, Greenwich, has asked to be called Ismail ibn Abdullah. World at 8. I have a horrible feeling that these two are going for the freedom to pursue their religious beliefs defence. As the Quran states on many pages, it is okay to kill kafirs or non-Muslims. The question is, does that apply to a non-Muslim country and people? They have both asked to be called by their converted names, not their birth names, which is indicative, and both are pleading not guilty. Freddie Starr sues Jimmy Savile victim for £300,000. Comedian Freddie Starr launched a £300,000 defamation claim against one of the women who exposed Jimmy Savile as a paedophile. The 70-year-old claims that Karen Ward's allegations that he assaulted her nearly 40 years ago have cost him a small fortune in cancelled bookings. Starr was arrested after cancer sufferer Miss Ward, 55, claimed on television that he groped her in Savile's dressing room after appearing on the shamed DJ's TV show Clunk Click in 1974 when she was 15. But the 70-year-old says her claims are untrue and defamatory. World at 8. A grope? Is she joking? Bolton Council apologises after pork product is served to Muslim youngsters in school dessert. Town Hall chiefs have issued an apology after a pork product was discovered in chocolate mousse being served to Muslim youngsters as part of their school dinner. Bolton Council School Meals Service, which provides dinners to many of the borough's schools, is now working closely with Bolton Council of Mosques and an investigation is underway. The incident only involved Gatskill Community Primary School in Thomas Holden Street, Bolton, and as soon as the ingredient, pork gelatin, was spotted, the dessert was withdrawn. World at 8. Let them eat cake or go home preferably. Lord Carey warns Christianity a generation away from extinction in Britain. Christianity is just a generation away from extinction in Britain unless churches make a dramatic breakthrough in attracting young people back to the faith, the former Archbishop of Canterbury Lord Carey has warned. Clergy are now gripped by a feeling of defeat, congregations are worn down by heaviness, while the public simply greets both with rolled eyes and a yawn of boredom, he said. His comments at a Christian conference came as a stark report laid before the Church of England's General Synod warned that its position as a national institution will be in doubt if numbers in the pews drop much further. The Archbishop of York, Dr John Sentamu, also underlined the scale of the crisis, telling members of the Synod they must evangelise or fossilise. In an impassioned plea for church to adopt a new missionary stance, he told them that their constant internal debates were like no more than rearranging furniture when the house is on fire. World at 8. Well, this is a case where the truth need not have been reported. Our Muslim friends will whoop with joy over this one, and it is not the church's fault in reality. It is our culture and our youth who have been propagandised into the me culture. When do we celebrate our festivals in schools? When do we learn about our history? Scripture is not taught in schools anymore because of the plethora of Muslim pupils who might be offended. When I left the convent and went to a private school, there were mainly Jewish students, and they had their own prayers and we had ours. Our school didn't stop holding Christian prayers at all. The Brits have become too weak to care, but they will regret it, and I am no Bible thumper myself. Queen hires Muslim as High Sheriff. Al Bayt News Agency. The eye-catching nomination yet to be announced went to Charles Abd al-Natin John Pelham, the 8th Earl of Yarborough. Using the name Abdi al-Matin after reverting to Islam, the Earl of Yarborough will take the unpaid role next year. The Eton College graduate is a master of the Brocklesbury Hunt, president of the Brocklesbury Park Cricket Club. On the death of his father in 1991, he inherited the bulk of the £68 million estate, which includes Brocklesbury Park in Lincolnshire, 27,500 acres of farmland and one of Britain's finest private art collections. World at 8. Yet another English loony to the trough of political correctness. He needs putting away or shot, not rewarded for being a traitor to his country and kith and kin. I worked for the High Sheriff of Berkshire once, very nice chap. Lincolnshire, look out, beware new mosques, wall to wall. European news. A decision to allow the construction of a 33-metre tall, 100-foot Christian cross in the Macedonian capital has attracted negative reactions from the Albanian Muslim minority. The plan to build the tall cross in the aerodrome municipality of the Macedonian capital, which, according to the project's initiator, will be visible in the Albanian, predominantly Muslim parts of Skopje, was criticised by locals. There are enough churches and mosques. There is no need for such monuments. Adam Ahmet, an elderly ethnic Albanian resident of Skopje's Albanian-dominated Care municipality, told BRIN. World at 8. Remember that old saying, give an inch and they take a mile? Well, this is it. Build the cross, and build it high, and build it strong. German footballer turned Islamist killed in Syria. A former German footballer who represented his country 7 times at youth level has been killed after joining Islamist rebels in Syria. Burak Karan, 26, played in the youth teams with Germany's current crop of stars, including Sami Khedira and Kevin Prince Boateng. But in 2008, at the age of 20, he turned away from sport towards Islam, Focus magazine reported on Monday. He travelled to Syria to join Islamist rebels fighting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, where, his brother confirmed to Bild newspaper, he was killed by a bomb. His 23-year-old wife and 2 children aged 3 and 10 months went with him to Syria, where they are believed still to be. World at 8. Good, the rebels can take care of them. Turkey. Deputy Prime Minister hopes to convert Hagia Sophia to mosque. Turkish Deputy Prime Minister Bülent Arınç has expressed his hope to see Istanbul's Hagia Sophia Museum be used as a mosque. He has already called it the Hagia Sophia Mosque while speaking to reporters. We currently stand next to the Hagia Sophia Mosque. We are looking at a sad Hagia Sophia, but hopefully we will see it smiling again soon, Dogan News Agency quoted Arınç as saying in a speech during the opening ceremony of a new carpet museum located adjacent to the ancient Hagia Sophia complex. He cited 2 other complexes with the same name in Turkey that have recently been converted into mosques. The status of Istanbul's Hagia Sophia has come under increasing scrutiny in recent years, with a number of campaigns to open it for Muslim prayers being initiated, despite suggestions that this would be disrespectful to the building's past as a church. The Hagia Sophia Museum was first dedicated as an Orthodox patriarchal basilica in 360. Until 1453 it served as the Greek Patriarchal Cathedral of Constantinople. Following the city's conquest by the Ottoman Empire, the building was turned into a mosque in 1453 and remained so until 1931, when it was closed to the public for 4 years. It was reopened by the Republican authorities in 1935 as a museum. World at 8. Rather like the Holy Land, this building is not Islamic. I would rather destroy it than have it turned into an Islamic place of worship. World News. Fukushima fiasco. TEPCO's risky removal of radioactive fuel could set off uncontrolled chain reaction. Emergency delay invoked. The Tokyo Electric Power Company announced it is delaying the relocation of fuel rods from its crippled plant reactors. Work was originally scheduled to begin today due to the fact that fuel rods remain highly vulnerable in the damaged storage pools. Right now Fukushima is just one earthquake or tidal wave away from structural collapse, causing a catastrophic release of radioactive fuel directly into the atmosphere. Moving the fuel rods is a wildly risky proposition, as the fuel rods must be extricated from their operating matrix containing coolant water and control rods that smother runaway nuclear reactions. Absent these safeguards, the removal and transport of fuel rods is inherently hazardous. New video footage from a robot has revealed new leaks within the damaged reactors, meaning the rods can't now be taken out as planned, reports Euronews. One of the fuel assemblies was damaged as far back as 1982 when it was mishandled during a transfer and is bent out of shape. Airbus and Boeing cash in at Dubai Airshow. An hour's drive from Dubai on the sand-swept road lined with waste disposal facilities and aluminium smelters, the fate of global aviation is being decided. Boeing Company and Airbus SAS executives flocked to the new site of the Dubai Airshow for business on an unprecedented scale from the three largest Middle East airlines on the first day, breaking records in the process. Boeing rose to the highest in at least 33 years after it secured $101.5 billion worth in transactions for its biggest ever deal by value. Airbus pulled in its largest super jumbo order yet. The two manufacturers rely increasingly on the repeat buying sprees of Emirates, Qatar Airways Limited and Etihad Airways PJSC to keep factories humming along. Boeing now has an 86% of the backlog for its new 777X wide body with Persian Gulf carriers, and Emirates makes up more than half of total bookings for the A380, tipping the balance in global aviation towards the Middle East at the expense of Western carriers. Australia. Indigenous and ethnic groups unite against law changes. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott is facing a fight against Australia's Indigenous, Jewish, Arab, Chinese, Greek, Armenian, Lebanese and Muslim populations, who have united in urging the government not to proceed with announced plans to abolish or weaken race-hate laws. As his first legislative act, Attorney General George Brandis wants to introduce a bill to change sections of the Racial Discrimination Act that protect ethnic groups against hate speech. He especially dislikes provisions that make it unlawful to offend or insult people on the basis of their race. Declaring himself a champion of freedom, Senator Brandis has disparaged the laws used against Herald Sun columnist Andrew Bolt over an article he wrote in which he accused white Australians of identifying as Aborigines to advance their careers. The head of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, Peter Wertheim, said he could not recall any other issue on which there has been such a unity of purpose and strength of feeling across such a diverse group of communities. Jewish leaders have combined in a rare joint protest with prominent ethnic and indigenous leaders. World at 8, bully for them. The saddest part is that all the white races haven't a chance of cashing in on what is rightfully theirs because the Western world on the whole hates its own people and pays for and welcomes strangers foreign born to their shores with anything but idle promises. If I could become an ethnic and get money for it, I would. That is the topsy-turvy world of today. A gigantic guilt complex looms over these countries, which other countries and their people are cashing in on for one reason or another. Thought for the day: a most unfair situation. Now, life isn't always fair. Good things happen to really nasty people and really nasty things happen to really good people. But the particular cases I'm going to tell you about could have been helped, especially in view of what this country and its government give away to total strangers who land on our shores, in our airports and inside lorries for entirely selfish reasons. I picked up this story in the Daily Mail and just had to read it. Because as a woman, albeit an over-the-hill one, I have in the past made mistakes with my choice of guys, and these women's stories are mainly that. No one knows what is going to happen when you marry out of your culture, but one always hopes it is for a better life, not a worse one. Few, if any, brides go to the altar or register office thinking it's going to turn out badly. Well, only the Eastern European brides and the fix-up marriages, and I'm not covering those today. These women married Greek men and made their lives in Greece. Some for over 20 years, and all produced children. Shirley Valentines we call them, but their endings have been anything but. Lizzie, on her marriage breakup, still stayed on in Corfu and worked. However, the Greek economy is much worse than is published. Her ex-husband remarried and left the area, and she was left to support their 2 sons, one of whom has ADHD, and she had to leave him with friends in Greece. There is no work, and in her words, Daniel's friends were fainting in the school playground because they were so hungry. So she decided to move back to her country of birth, England, with her youngest son, Daniel. Her relations over here couldn't put her up for various reasons, and she arrived at Gatwick over a year ago with 2 suitcases. You would think a benefit system which literally benefits the whole ruddy world at some time would benefit its own real British citizens, but no. She received no help, no food and no shelter from the official government sources that the British taxpayer pays into. She rang social services, or the SS as I call them, and they told her very helpfully that unless she could prove her son had a place to sleep, they would take him away from her and into care. It went from bad to worse. The woman's refuge she was forced to consider only took single women, not children. She was forced to live with Daniel in a small box room in her brother's house, but she did, after dealing with citizens' advice and rent start, manage to find a small place and get the £71 per week Jobseekers Allowance. She is almost back on her feet working, and with Daniel and her eldest son living with her and in schools. The sad thing is she's working and paying taxes which will enable more immigrants to come in and claim what she and others could not. Irony? Her stumbling block, and the 2 other ladies, Kim and Joanna, all with similar stories, were: they are white and British born. They had lived in Greece for some years. They are not immigrants, asylum seekers, foreign criminals or illegals. But they must all take the same test, which was not pointed out to Lizzie at that time. And this test is apparently applied to all non-UK citizens who they can find who come in to Britain. It is called the Habitual Residence Test, HRT, and this so-called test determines whether you have a legal right to remain here and, crucially, whether you plan to remain here to avoid benefits tourism. Apparently the DWP state anyone who chooses to live in another country for a long period of time and so isn't contributing to taxes in Britain must, if they return to the UK and claim benefits, prove they have strong ties to this country and intend to remain here. Well, put that in your cake and eat it, matey. Now, I'm no lawyer, but is this the right test for a British-born person who, for the first 20-odd years of their lives, lived, worked and paid taxes in Britain, to take when their world has fallen apart? Lizzie and co are among the 81,000 Brits who returned to Britain last year from foreign parts. Now, these people are English, born in England and maintained their British passports when living and working abroad. It is no fault of theirs that their marriage breakdowns occurred at roughly the same time when Greece and other EU countries were falling apart and the economic and social structures were failing. All of these countries do not, unlike us, part with money to foreigners, especially when they are divorced from their Greek partners. And clearly Greek fathers do not have to pay for their children. Where else could these women go? Back home to Blighty to work and take temporary benefits and accommodation to help? Is this too much to ask from our own country? Clearly so, especially when we are desperate to give millions of total strangers access to our country, our benefit systems and our health and educational facilities, bearing in mind these people are none of these things. Born in England, worked or contributed to any tax system in England or the UK in their lives, never contributed to the health service. Many continue to travel back and forth to their countries of birth. Most claim hefty benefits. Most claim housing and special accommodation. So why give these people the HRT test? If they are strangers to the UK, it is obvious they have no previous ties with this country, unless you count the various extended clans and communities which already exist in the UK. It is also obvious that they will say they will stay in this country when in fact many do not. They travel and enable more relations to come in to marry. It is laughable in the extreme that we penalise our own women with children who return to their land of birth and yet reward thousands of others for what is in effect a pack of lies on paper. To apply such a broad test to real foreign-born people and yet adapt it to British-born is balmy, absolutely balmy. But it does do what it says on the tin. It is an exercise in bias and multiculturalism in the extreme. It is deliberately denying white women a chance to return to their homeland and work whilst encouraging foreign-born people to come over and immediately receive benefits out of the wazoo. Surely it isn't racist to expect your own country to step up to the mark when you need it. Surely it isn't racist to expect a different standard of greeting when you come home to contribute to the tax system of your own country. Surely it isn't racist to expect to be welcomed back when in fact you are treated like a pariah who has been living off the fat of another land and then decides to return. Whilst it isn't racist to expect the above, it is obviously racist to curb or cut immigration completely, reinforce our borders and border controls with the army, cut benefits being handed out to existing immigrants who frankly contribute nothing to this country, repossess certain sections of social housing which are undeserved and unearned, rethink and redo the HRT test to apply to various sections of the country and make it fair. Also, all our HRT tests to be redone after a certain period of time for existing immigrants. That way a proper check can be carried out on logistics at any time. Deport all illegals and criminals before trial. At least that way our people who return do so with dignity and not having to beg various authorities for alms, while these self-same authorities give so freely and so much to non-English ex-residents. In fact, the HRT test should read, put a mark here, ignore all the questions and we will give you a place to stay, money, mobile phone and a car, plus of course at a later date free schooling, free healthcare and any other things you can think of. Don't sign here if you're English or British born, it isn't necessary. We will do nothing for you at all. Rule Britannia. And finally, the new breadwinner in the UK. Here's how a doctor explains it. A woman in her late 20s came to the hospital today with her 8th pregnancy. She said to me, "My mum told me that I'm a breadwinner for the family." I asked her to explain. She said that she can make babies and babies get money from the state for the family. It goes like this. The grandma calls the Department for Work and Pensions and states that the unemployed daughter is not capable of caring for all of her kids. DWP agrees and tells her the children will need to go into foster care. The grandma then volunteers to be the foster parent and receives a cheque for £700 per child each month. Total yearly income £58,800, soon to become £67,200 when the 8th one is born, tax-free and nobody has to go to work. In fact, they get more if there's no husband or father or man in the home. The brother doesn't count. Not to mention free dental treatment, free housing, free council tax, free school dinners, free tuition fees at college or uni, free eye care and glasses, free prescriptions and various other benefits. Total value of all benefits combined probably approaching £100,000 per annum, which would require an income of around £148,000 to create. That's about my salary as a senior consultant with years of experience and surgical skills in a central London teaching hospital. Indeed, Grandma was correct that her fertile daughter is the breadwinner for the family. This is how the politicians spend our taxes. When this generous programme was invented in the 60s, the Great Society architects forgot to craft an end date, and now we are hopelessly overrun with people who vote only for those who will continue to keep them on the dole. No wonder our country is broke. Worse, our Muslim brothers have been paying attention, and by mandating that each Muslim family have 11 children, they will soon replace the voting bloc above and can be running this country. Are we alarmed yet? Is anybody listening? Sincerely, Sebastian J. Giancino, Urologist, Guy's Hospital Trust, London. Don't forget to pay your taxes. There are a lot of breadwinners depending on you. This presenter says even more disgusting in view of the thought for today and the plight of some of our own people. You've been listening to The World at 8. I am Lynn Mozart and I wish you all a very good night.